In Save the Meeples, you are the leader of the Meeples, and you must fight the humans or build rockets to leave for another planet. To do so, you will be able to build and launch rockets, recruit new Meeples, repair the wounded, acquire new resources, take the train to different locations, and finally, fight against humans. But be careful, depending on the outcome of the game, the gratefulness of the Meeples will not be the same. If the human invasion happens before the escape, those who will have contributed the most to the war will be rewarded. Conversely, those who will have contributed the most to the escape will be rewarded if the escape happens before the invasion. Choose your side wisely. The game will run through a number of turns until one of the two end conditions is reached. That is, the invasion of humans in the forest or the escape of the Meeples to space. At your turn, start by repairing a Meeple. To do so, move the Meeple one space on the repair track of your village, which goes from the infirmary to the town square. A Meeple that lands on the town square can be used immediately. Then choose an action among the following four. Place a group of your Meeples on a train. Place a group of your Meeple on a completed rocket. Send a train. Bring back a train. First possible action. Place a group of your Meeples on a train. Take 1, 2 or 3 Meeples in your town square, then place them on a train. The train must be at the beginning of the track. Indeed, it is not possible to place a group of your Meeples on a train that has left. Be aware that the group of Meeples must be placed at the end of the train, that is, on the last empty seat available. Careful, it is impossible to have more than 3 consecutive Meeples of the same player, which means that if there are already 3 consecutive Meeples of the same player, that player will have to wait for another player to come and place at least one of his Meeples. However, it is possible to come and complete a group of 1 or 2 Meeples in a future action, as long as the limit of 3 consecutive Meeples of one player is not crossed. Second possible action. Place a group of Meeples on a completed rocket. Take 1 or 2 Meeples from the town square and place them on a completed rocket. The cockpit or the engine can only hold 1 Meeple, and each cabin can hold 2. Be careful, you must keep at least 2 Meeples in play. It is therefore forbidden to send your last 2 Meeples in a rocket. Third possible action. Send a train to the mine, the forge, the tavern or the forest. First, place your flag on the locomotive, then bring the train to its destination by following the rails. Be aware that you can only perform this action if there is at least one of your Meeple on this train. Warning: as soon as the train is sent, whatever its destination, add a human in the forest, starting with a smaller one. If the quota of humans necessary for the invasion is reached, the game ends at the end of the active player's turn. Then, starting with the front of the train and continuing until the back of the train, each player assigns their groups of Meeple to an action on the location. It is never possible to split a group into smaller groups. That means that each group of Meeples will perform only one action. Last possible action. Bring back a train. Bring back a train that was at a location and get a mood ticket of your choosing. All the Meeples assigned to the action of the location come back to the village of the owner. If they are wounded during the action, they come back lying down at the infirmary, or else they are back at the town square. So having repaired a Meeple, then performed an action, you must check your warehouse. Your warehouse cannot hold more than 10 resources. You must pick and discard the surplus. Since you check your warehouse at the end of your turn, you can have more than 10 resources during the other player's turn. The actions. There are 2 types of actions, symbolized either by a circle or a square. The circle actions can only hold 1 group of Meeples. Furthermore, the group must have at least as many Meeples as drawn in it. For example, this action can hold only 1 group of Meeples, composed of 1, 2 or 3 Meeples, whereas this action can hold only 1 group of 3 Meeples. The square action can hold an unlimited number of groups of any size. These groups can belong to different players. All locations have one common action: to rest. A group of meeples that rests, whatever its size, get a mood ticket of your choosing. Mood tickets allow you to perform once during your turn a bonus action at any time during the turn. For example, spend 4 happy tickets to grab 2 different resources from the stock and place them in your warehouse. Another example, spend 2 angry tokens to take a human from the stock and place him in the prison of your village. Actions of the mind. Dig. Place each meeple of the group over 2 available resources, vertically or horizontally, never diagonally. Then take the resources from the stock and place them in your warehouse. Obviously, if your meeple can only be placed on one resource, you get only one. Extract petrol. For each meeple of the group performing the action, pay 1 gold from your warehouse and collect 1 petrol from the stock. Remember, at the end of the player's turn, the warehouse can only hold 10 resources. Actions of the tavern. Recruit new meeples. Depending on the action, pay as many gold as requested. Take a meeple of your color next to the tavern and add it to the group of meeples performing the action. Gain also a victory point. This new meeple will only be available when the train is sent back, just as the other meeples of the group. Wash the dishes. Whatever the size of the group performing the action, take 1 gold, then either 1 wood or 1 metal and place them in your warehouse. Actions of the forge. Launch a rocket. Obviously, if there is no completed rocket, this action is impossible. Pay the amount of petrol required by the action, then move the countdown 1, 2 or 3 notches depending on the action. Gain also the number of victory points shown on the action. If the countdown reaches go, launch the rocket of your choosing. This rocket can be empty, full or partially full of meeples. Place the meeples of the rocket on the planet and put back the rocket in the stock. Reset the countdown to 3. Be aware that if the necessary quota of rockets for the escape is reached, then the game will end at the end of the active player's turn. Repair a meeple. For each meeple in the group performing the action, pay 1 wood and move 1 of your meeple twice on the repair track of your village, or 2 meeples once. Moreover, each player can pay you 1 gold to move 1 of their meeples once on their own repair track. Work. Whatever the size of this group performing the action, take 2 gold and place them in your warehouse. Actions of the forest. Build a new rocket. Depending on the chosen action, build a part of a new rocket. A cockpit with the 1 meeple actions, a cabin with the 2 meeple actions, then the engine with the 3 meeple actions. Pay the construction cost shown on the chosen tile from one of the 2 construction sites with your resources, then flip the tile on the built side, and finally gain the indicated number of victory points. If one of 2 construction sites are empty, you can begin a new one. To do so, take the first cockpit and engine tiles from their stack and decide the size of your rocket by taking 1, 2 or 3 cabins in order to set up the new construction site. There cannot be more than 2 construction sites at the same time. If a rocket is completed, place the tile under the respective stacks and place a completed rocket of the corresponding size at the center of the board. Just as you cannot have more than 2 construction sites, there cannot be more than 2 completed rockets. If there are 2 completed rockets, the construction site stays as is until a place is freed up. Fight the humans. For each meeple performing the action, take a human from the forest and place him in the prison of your village. Gain 1 gold and 1 victory point. Your meeples are wounded during the attack and go to the infirmary. When the train comes back, To remember it, place them face down on your infirmary. About the large humans. At the beginning of the game, only the small humans come to the forest. When there are no more small humans, the large humans start to appear. They do not give more points and count as only one human for the invasion, but they are harder to capture. Indeed, you need 2 meeples to capture them. If there are small and large humans in the forest, capture the one you want. If a large human is attacked by only 1 meeple, place the wounded token on the head of the human. Then the next group who will attack this human will only need 1 meeple to capture him. End of the game. The game ends in 2 different ways. The invasion of humans in the forest. If 12 humans are in the forest, whatever the sizes, then the game ends at the very end of the active player's turn. The game also ends with the human invasion if there are no more humans available in the stock when you need to place one in the forest. The other way to end the game is for the meeples to escape into space. If 3 rockets, whatever their sizes or how they were filled, were launched into space, then the game ends at the very end of the active player's turn. Final countdown. Add up the victory points collected during the game to the end game points. Be careful, depending on the type of end game, the countdown will look completely different. In case of a human invasion, the humans captured give 2 victory points for each human in your prison. However, in that case, the meeples sent to the meeple planet are worthless. In case of a meeple escape into space, the meeples of a player sent to the planet give 3 victory points each. However, in that case, the humans captured in the prisons are worthless. The player with the most points is the winner. In case of a tie, the player with the most recruited meeples is the winner. In case of a new tie, play a game of card dice meeple to decide who's the winner. It's a game very similar to rock paper scissors. This was the video rules of the game Save the Meeples. Thank you and enjoy the game.